WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. An inmate at the Lee County Juvenile Detention Center is back in custody tonight after climbing a fence and trying to escape through some nearby woods.
That's right. It was about 10:30 this morning. The juvenile was being escorted to a learning center on the property. The inmate scaled a fence, threw his yellow shirt over a razor wire, and then jumped down the side of the fence. He made his way behind the Lee County Jail, across railroad tracks, and then through a wooded area. Aerial video provided to us by the Sheriff's Department shows where the inmate was hiding when officers found him and took him into custody. Sheriff Jim Johnson says this teenager is facing some serious charges today.
Now, youth court is the one that handles all juvenile detainees, and it's according to their age of what the statute says. But the age that this young man is, he could face some felony charges, which we've been in contact with the youth court people, and they've been made very aware of it.
And Johnson says the incident highlights the need for a new jail. Plans would call for 2 fences around the perimeter of the complex.
The man accused of shooting and killing another man in Monroe County is officially charged today. 45-year-old William Paul Key Jr. is charged with murder. Monroe County deputies arrested him Tuesday shortly after the shooting. Key's bond is set at $100,000. The victim is his neighbor, 35-year-old Jared Smith. Sheriff Cecil Cantrell says he died after being shot 4 to 5 times with a handgun on Bethlehem Road Tuesday morning. He believes the 2 men had an ongoing feud for the past few years.
Columbus police believe an alert customer may have prevented an armed robbery. Investigators say 2 men wore hoodies to cover their faces outside the Be Quick on 31st Avenue North. The 2 went inside the store with bandanas around their neck just before 9 p.m. Tuesday. That's when the witness apparently saw the gun. Assistant Police Chief Fred Shelton says the men left the store and the clerk was never threatened.
2 votes in a Starkville alderman race may lead to a challenge in Tuesday's primary election. Starkville Alderman Ben Carver lost the primary election by 1 vote to Jason Camp. These are unofficial results in Starkville's Ward 1 Republican primary, but as Carver tells WCBI, there are 2 affidavit ballots that are not valid. Carver says those votes should be counted. He claims the poll workers were not trained to handle affidavit ballots. He's talked with the Mississippi Secretary of State's office.
Secretary of State office is looking at it. They are determining, in fact, that the poll worker just made an error, even after getting explicit instruction of how to put a date where it says the word date. And that should not be a valid reason. I've heard from Secretary of State's office that should not be a valid reason for that to be a disqualified affidavit.
A Secretary of State spokesperson tells us the decision of the Oktibbeha County Republican Executive Committee will be the final decision in the Ward 1 race. Most cities certify the primary election after the runoff. The winner of the GOP primary for Ward 1 faces Democrat Christine Williams in the June general election.
All right, that's certainly one we'll continue to watch. Well, the old saying goes, all politics is local, and it doesn't get much more local than city elections. But voter turnout in yesterday's municipal primaries is being called shockingly low.
Yes, WCBI's Victoria Bailey visits area towns after yesterday's elections. She joins us live with some startling numbers. Victoria?
That's right, guys. Starkville is just one of the many areas that held elections Tuesday night. Over 13,000 registered voters live in this city, but only 30% turned out to the polls to cast their ballot. With numbers hitting below 50%, it's really shining a light on how truly important it is to make your voice heard.
Everybody should vote that are able, because that keeps the city going.
For many, starting in elementary school on to college, the importance of voting is always highlighted.
Municipal elections are incredibly important and actually often overlooked, because you're talking about your day-to-day lives of people. And that's not to say that state and federal elections aren't impacting people, but the turnaround from election to action in municipal elections is a matter of weeks, months. I mean, it's the minute these individuals are placed into office, they can impact our lives immediately.
According to Heavy.com, in the 2016 presidential election, an estimated 57% of eligible voters cast their ballot.
The best way to be heard is to go out and vote.
Dallas Breen with Mississippi State University Stennis Institute says it may seem more important to vote nationally when there's so many flashing lights.
The glamour factor isn't there in municipal elections. You know, most people, I would guess, know that November is the time for the presidential elections. You see about these big ads and money spent on presidential elections, so you think, oh, I've got to go vote. Municipal elections, primarily the primary elections, are held at awkward times, at different times, and so people aren't necessarily counting the days until.
Lance Thompson is a registered voter. He says he steers clear of the local elections.
The previous voting terms, I honestly felt like they were rigged. And it wouldn't matter who I voted for, you know, they were going to put in who they wanted in.
However, the only way to impact change in your area is to speak up.
As a citizen, that we have a lot of things we want, we have a lot of things that we want to accomplish. And our voice is basically our leaders. So I think if we get out and we have an opportunity to exercise our right to vote, that's also having your voice heard.
Now, West Point continues the downward trend in voter turnout. Since 2013's election, they are down 1,000 voters. Reporting live in Starkville, I'm Victoria Bailey for WCBI News. Guys?
All right, thanks, Victoria. Tupelo Mayor Jason Shelton says he's poised for 4 more years of economic growth and focusing on improving the quality of life for residents. Shelton won a second term in Tuesday's municipal elections, beating Democratic opponent Candace Knowles. Today, the mayor was picking up campaign signs around the city. He says the message of his campaign and the results of the past 4 years resonated well with voters.
We've gotten a lot of congratulation calls and text messages today, and you know, it's certainly very nice to see your hard work pay off. But it's back to work, so you know we've still got a city to run. The election's over.
4 years ago, Shelton became the first Democrat elected as Tupelo mayor in 25 years. Time now to turn our attention to weather. Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson joins us for a first look at your forecast. Keith?
Hey, right now, Joey, not too much happening with our local weather situation as far as rainfall is concerned. One little shower there west of Ripley. We have a bigger batch of showers and thunder showers here in Arkansas. That rain is gradually moving east, so we do have a chance for some rain later this evening. Currently into the low and mid 70s around here. Fairly dry, though, but if you're heading out later on, keep the umbrella on standby because those showers come on in. We fall into the 60s. The full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Keith, thanks a lot. Storm damage recovery continues across the state, and right here in our viewing area, Kilmichael was one of the towns hit hardest by Sunday's storms.
Yeah, a lot of trees down there. Volunteers at relief agencies have been in town all week. WCBI's Jory Talley goes to the Montgomery County town, that is, earlier today to check in on the progress. She joins us live in the studio with more. Jory?
Audrey and Joey, residents tell us a lot of progress has been made, but there's still a lot to do, and many are left without financial help. The American Red Cross has been in town since Monday, working with people impacted by the storms.
Less than 1,000 residents call Kilmichael home, and Sunday's storm leaves their town a part of a large-scale disaster.
People whose homes that were classified as having major damage or destroyed, according to our damage assessment protocols, those families, they did receive some financial assistance for their immediate disaster-related needs.
But not everyone did. That's because the American Red Cross runs off of donations, and that money becomes limited in these types of events. Client caseworker supervisor Zola Pickett says the relief agency has to weigh who needs help the most.
For folks that are just without power, we're not able to provide any financial assistance for a hotel room. We're not able to provide any vouchers or anything like that. So I would just encourage them to reach out to friends, family.
Debris thrown all over the place, trees cutting homes in half, along with power outages, makes things tough for a small town with already limited resources.
It's not a question of whether we would want to. The question is we don't have the resources For instance, in this little town, our general fund has to support the fire department, the police department, the street department, and our tax base is primarily elderly and generates little or no property tax.
Kilmichael resident Crystal Ward says she's been without power all week and wishes there was more assistance available for everyone affected by the storm's path, minor to major, especially the elderly.
I think they should come first because, you know, anything can happen. The roof could fall in and water damage, anything can happen, you know.
Mayor Bobby Howell says city leaders are being very cautious in spending money because the tornado damage may not meet federal guidelines for FEMA assistance.
Because we didn't have that many structural, you know, like homes destroyed and stuff, this debris that's down, which is tremendous, and if y'all have seen, they don't promise you they'll help you get that. We're trying to build a case that we got to have some help.
Mayor Howell says it could take a couple of months to know what federal help they could get. He also says the goal is to have power back up and running by midnight tonight, but that might exclude some isolated areas in the county. Andre and Joey.
All right, Jory, thanks a lot. Well, when it comes to reading, the earlier you start, the better.
A Monroe County teacher is putting those words into action. We meet her when we come back.
Welcome back. An Amory teacher is planting the seeds of an education one storybook at a time.
Kim Buskirk teaches at West Amory Elementary. She is also our Educator of the Week. Buskirk students say they love story time with her because she makes reading fun. She says she feeds off her students' enthusiasm and loves her job.
And they can do anything that they put their mind to and be anything that they want to be. They just have so many opportunities headed their way, and I just want them to face them head on and strong and just can do anything they want to do.
We mentioned Miss Buskirk's name in the room. The students' eyes lit up. They started clapping and applauding. They love their teacher, and they know that she loves them.
To nominate your favorite educator, visit WCBI.com.
Otherwise, it's overcast, it's gloomy, no real rain in our viewing area at this point, but showers possible later on this evening and tonight, and just some cool stuff for tomorrow and Friday. Big time cool weather for this time of year. More after the break.
WCBI's Educator of the Week is brought to you by Food Giant, where your neighbors are the owners. Your first alert weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Low 80s out there today. How about some 50s and 60s tomorrow on Thursday? Some of you may actually get into the low 60s. Some of you may stay in the mid and upper 50s during the day. Scattered showers certainly possible here from time to time. Not an all-day rain event, but there could be some rain around and some cooler temperatures, especially back to the northwest where we expect to see more in the way of clouds and perhaps better chances for showers out that way. And if we do see some warmer low to mid 60s, perhaps in our eastern and southeastern counties, but suffice to say, it is going to be a chilly Thursday compared to where we have been over the last couple of days, including today we were in the low and mid 80s. This morning, before the clouds rolled on in, we're now overcast. That's our Alpha Insurance time-lapse from Tupelo. One lone shower here in northern parts of Tippah County, well to the north of Ripley there, moving towards Tennessee. Most of our coverage area, including the Golden Triangle area, all dry. So not really a lot of issues for right now, but if you are out later on this evening and tonight, You may see some of this wet weather, showers and storms will be coming on in from Arkansas. Nothing severe. All of that is down here in Texas and Louisiana. And look at this big mass. It is all moving east-southeast, so that is not coming our way. That's certainly good news. We've had our share of severe weather this week. We do not need any more. And here's that batch of showers here across the high plains. I'm showing you this because these are the scattered showers that will be around here as we get into tomorrow. So here's a big picture. An area of low pressure is moving on in. We get on the back side of it tomorrow, the cooler side of it. So clouds, scattered showers. Northwest winds will develop on Friday, keeping us cool with those clouds. And then all of that gets out of here just in time for Saturday. What is Saturday? Well, in downtown Columbus, it's the annual Market Street Festival. Currently forecasting a mostly sunny skies, 73 degrees. It will be a chilly start, mid-40s for that 5K color run. But by the afternoon, some pretty nice weather with lighter wind. Now, the wind today has been breezy from the southeast. These winds will switch around and become southwesterly tomorrow, still breezy. And then northwesterly on Friday, still breezy. So some wind issues for the next couple of days. We are in the mid-70s right now. We will continue to cool down to around 60 tonight. Some of you could get into the upper 50s. And as I mentioned, some of you may stay in the 50s tomorrow and Friday. 40s tomorrow night and Friday night. Look at that cool start on Saturday, 45. Gorgeous weather for the weekend, approaching 80 by Sunday. Low to mid-80s next week.
The Bulldogs look to get back on track this weekend against Texas A&M. More from the coach coming up next in sports.
WCDI Sports with Tom Ebel is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
The North Half Finals for the MHSAA Fast Pitch State Tournaments are now locked in. Plenty of area teams will be battling for a chance at a state title coming up on Friday. So let's take a look at some of the matchups. In 6A, Tupelo with its big comeback win the other day to lock themselves into the North Half Final. They'll take on Madison Central. Tupelo will be hosting game number 1 on Friday. Grenada and Neshoba Central in 5A. 4A, Kosciuszko taking on Caledonia. Kosciuszko will be traveling to take on the Lady Feds in game number 1. Moorville traveling to North Pontotoc in 3A for their North Half battle for a state championship. Then we'll take a look at 2A and 1A. There's East Union. They'll be traveling to take on the Tatch. Manatachee. We'll be hearing a little bit more from them coming up later on WCBI Sports. And in 1A, Smithville will be traveling to take on the Hamilton Lady Lions coming up in game 1 as well. We'll all be keeping a recap of that all through the weekend right here on WCBI Sports. The Mississippi State Bulldogs look to rebound this week against number 15 Texas A&M. The Bulldogs are fresh off its first SEC Series loss since March, dropping 2 out of 3 against Auburn. The Bulldogs have a tough task against the Aggies this weekend, but head coach Andy Cannizzaro says his team won't be changing the way they approach their matchup.
Auburn beat us twice, but by no means do I think any less of our club. By no means do I think we're going to do anything different. We're going to continue to attack the same way we always do. We're going to try to throw strikes on the mound. We're going to defend it at a high level, and we're going to pick up and manufacture runs and do those type of things. So in terms of us losing on Saturday, it's just one day. It's just one day, and we beat them the previous day, and I felt really good about winning on Friday night, and I still feel great about our club, and we're excited to get to Texas A&M and go play those guys.
We'll hear from Texas A&M on how they're preparing for the Bulldogs coming up at 10. First pitch of game 1 is set for tomorrow at 6:30 on ESPNU. Ole Miss baseball continues to gain momentum coming off this past weekend series win over Arkansas and yesterday's annihilation of Louisiana Monroe. The Rebels looking to get a midweek sweep before heading to Gainesville this weekend. And Ole Miss does just that. They pick up that midweek sweep over Louisiana Monroe 5-3 today. It wasn't quite the 21-7, but Bortles' homer in the 6th broke the scoreless streak to 0-0 through 6. Bortles' home run ends that. And then Sean Johnson threw 6 no-hit innings to give the Rebels some control. It's a big weekend or big midweek series before taking on number 7 Florida Gators in Gainesville. We'll have some of those highlights coming up at 10 on WCBI Sports. Tupelo Golden Wave, they send 2 athletes to the next level. Josh Turberville making it official. He signs with Martin Methodist to continue his bowling career. Turberville bowled the first 300 game in Mississippi high school bowling history. Also, Lady Golden Wave soccer player Lexi Pund signs to join West Alabama and continue her soccer career. Pund led the Golden Wave with 22 goals this past season. Coming up at 10 right here on WCBI Sports, our own Jonathan Flippo. We were talking about it. The Manatee Lady Mustangs, they're jumping into the North Half Final in 2A with the sweep over Baldwin. They're 2 wins away from competing in their first ever state title. So we'll hear a little bit more from Manatee coming up at 10 right here on WCBI Sports.
Is that where Jonathan got his injury at the game?
No, different game.
Okay.
Bless him.
There was an injury.
He got beamed on third baseline.
Yeah, he's fine now, though.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Cool weather for your Thursday and Friday. Some of you may stay in the 50s, but we're looking at some nice weather for the weekend.
Yeah,
Great weather.
great looking forecast for Market Street.
Quick change to the Day of Prayer in Columbus is moved to the YMCA.
That's right.